Concord, New Hampshire, the granite capital. In the heart of New Hampshire, where the Merrimack River bends past wooded hills and old mill roads, stands Concord, a capital shaped by frontier patience, political compromise, and the hard stone of its own landscape. It is not a large city, and it has rarely tried to seem larger than it is. Its strength has always come from steadiness. Concord grew where travel, farming, government, and craft could meet, and over time it became a clear reflection of New Hampshire itself, independent, practical, and rooted in local memory. Long before English settlers marked town lots along the river, this valley was part of the homeland and travel country of the Abenaki people. The Merrimack and its smaller streams provided fish, seasonal movement, and connection between the White Mountains and the coast. Trails followed the water because rivers were the safest roads through forested country. European settlement brought pressure, disease, conflict, and displacement, and the history of Concord begins with that deeper story beneath it. The land was never empty. It was known, used, and remembered before it was renamed. English settlers established the community in the 1720s under the name Pinnacook, later Rumford. They came to a frontier edge where farms had to be carved from forest and where security was never taken for granted. The settlement lay near older native planting grounds, and its early years were shaped by disputes over land, boundaries, and power. Houses, meeting houses, mills, and roads appeared slowly. The Merrimack gave the town energy and movement, while the surrounding soil supported farms and orchards. The people who stayed learned that endurance was not a slogan, but a daily requirement. One of the defining events in the town's early identity was the long boundary struggle with Bow. The dispute reached across years and involved competing grants, legal arguments, and political frustration. When the matter was finally settled in the mid-18th century, Governor Benning Wentworth renamed the town Concord in 1765, choosing a word that meant agreement and harmony. The name carried hope as much as fact. It suggested that a place marked by argument could still become a place of order. That idea would follow the city into its role as capital. During the Revolutionary era, Concord was not the largest town in New Hampshire, but it shared in the currents of rebellion that moved through New England. Local men joined militia companies, farms supplied food, and town meetings became places where ordinary citizens weighed public duty. After independence, New Hampshire needed a stronger civic center for a growing state. Exeter, Portsmouth, and other communities had influence, but Concord's inland position made it attractive. It sat closer to the state's center and away from the vulnerability of the coast. In 1808, Concord became the official seat of state government. That decision changed the town's future. Government brought lawyers, clerks, legislators, printers, builders, and visitors. Streets improved, inns served travelers, and public buildings gave the town a new sense of purpose. The State House, completed in 1819, became the clearest symbol of that purpose. Built from New Hampshire granite, it stood with plain dignity on Main Street. Its design was not overly ornate, but it was confident. The building declared that a small state could govern itself with seriousness and pride. Today, it remains one of the oldest state capitals in continuous legislative use in the United States. The choice of granite mattered. New Hampshire's identity had long been tied to stone, hills, and hard work. Granite was quarried nearby, cut by skilled hands, and set into a building meant to last. The State House linked landscape to government. Its columns, steps, and walls seemed to rise from the same earth that supported the farms and villages around it. The golden dome added brightness, but the building's power came from its restraint. It looked durable because the state wanted its institutions to be durable. Through the 19th century, Concord became more than a political center. The Merrimack River and later the railroad made it a place of trade and manufacture. The city became known for printing, carriage making, granite cutting, machine shops, and other skilled work. Concord coaches, built by the Abbott Downing Company, became famous across the country for strength and balance. They traveled western roads, mountain routes, and frontier trails, carrying passengers and mail far beyond New Hampshire. In that industry, Concord sent part of itself across America, not through speeches, but through craftsmanship. The railroad deepened the city's reach. Lines connected Concord to Boston, northern New Hampshire, and the broader New England economy. Goods moved more quickly, newspapers spread ideas, and people traveled with new ease. Industry brought workers, immigrants, and new neighborhoods. Churches, schools, libraries, and civic associations expanded, yet the city kept a measured character. It grew around the State House, the river, and Main Street, maintaining the feeling of a place where public life and daily life remained close together. Concord also became part of New Hampshire's reform and political traditions. Town meetings, legislative sessions, newspapers, and public lectures gave citizens ways to argue, persuade, and organize. The city's history includes debates over slavery, temperance, education, labor, and the responsibilities of government. Like many northern cities, it was shaped by ideals that were not always fully met. Its story includes both principle and limitation. That tension makes the history more human. Concord's steadiness was not the absence of conflict. It was the repeated effort to carry conflict into civic form. The State House grounds became a visible record of memory. Statues, portraits, and memorials connected later generations to soldiers, leaders, and public servants. The building changed over time, with additions and renovations, but its central meaning remained. It was a working capital, not a distant shrine. Citizens could walk its halls, see lawmakers at work, and feel that government belonged to the people of towns and valleys across the state. That closeness is one of Concord's most important gifts. In Concord today, the historical layers remain easy to feel. Main Street holds brick storefronts, civic buildings, churches, and offices that reflect 2 centuries of use. The Merrimack still runs nearby, quieter than the mills that once depended on it, but still shaping the city's geography. The State House dome rises above the street, catching sun in summer and pale light in winter. Around it, the city continues its everyday work, modest in scale, but rich in memory. Its story teaches that a capital can be influential without being grand, and that public trust often grows best in places where citizens can still clearly recognize the buildings, streets, and river before them. Concord's story rests on practical choices that became lasting symbols. It began as native homeland, grew into a frontier settlement, took its name from the hope of agreement, and became the capital of a state that valued self-government. Its Granite State House, river roads, workshops, and public rooms still tell one connected story of patience and purpose. The Granite Capital stands as a reminder that history is not made only in large cities or grand centers of power. Sometimes it is made in smaller places that keep faith with their people, their work, and their promises year after year.